Recording is on.
Okay, so I hope everyone is doing okay, everyone is keeping safe. People usually say nowadays, I hope everyone is staying positive, but testing negative. I hope that's the case for all of us. Anyway, so today is going to be the introductory session. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope at the end of this you learn a thing or two that will help us going forward with the training program. So I'll just go ahead and share my screen as well. Can you see my screen? Anyone can confirm by unmuting themselves and saying they can see my slides in particular. Okay. Great. So I will just start. So today will be an introductory session to what OSM is. Basically, why it's important, why we are doing this. Generally why it's a big deal. The middle of this we'll have a short online game. It's not hard. So as to keep it interactive as well. As I continue, if you have any questions, any comments, feel free to share on the chat, and then you can answer them either in the middle or at the end. So before we get into OpenStreetMap, I think it's usually very important to start at a very general level. So I like to start with thinking about what data is. I think nowadays we hear a lot about data. There seems to be such a big deal on data and everything. Sometimes back, people used to say data is the new oil. But when you're thinking about data, you're just thinking of it being the lowest level of abstraction, from which information and knowledge is derived. So when you're thinking about data, you're thinking about alphabets, you're thinking about numbers, symbols. When you're looking at location, data is the X and Y, like the X coordinate and Y coordinate. So it's usually the lowest level that has no meaning. Because if I look at a set of X and Y coordinates with no more information, there's nothing, I cannot make any sense out of it. So it's usually the lowest level. When you're thinking about sentences that have meaning, if you look at a sentence, if you want to sort of define what data is, it's the alphabets and the numbers and the symbols. So when you have data, you can derive information from data. So that happens when you have a set of data and you sort of organize it. So if you have X and Y coordinates and then sort of attaching what do they mean. So as you may know, or if you're just learning right now, a set of coordinates can represent a point, or usually represents a point. So and so when you're looking at getting information from data, then you're trying to see maybe what is this X and Y? Is it a school? Is it a hospital? Is it a supermarket? Is it a building? Is it a corner of a building? So that's usually what information is. And for you to get sort of insight from the data, then now you usually have to process the data, analyze the data, at times even just look at the data and try to see what you can get from it. Now at that point, when you do that processing, do the analysis, and gets things that you can later establish as facts, then that's knowledge. So say, for example, yes, we have started with X and Y coordinates, random ones. Those are hospitals, for example. Then we sort of add more information, the names of the hospitals, the counties where they are in, the services offered. That way we have information. And then when you now start looking at the data and like trying to see how many hospitals are, say, in Nairobi, or how many hospitals that offer AR services are in Nairobi, then we are now sort of establishing facts or truths that we can now use to sort of guide decision making. So why the noise about data anyway? You see, before data became a big thing, or very few people knew about it, you could also see that decisions were just being made. So say, for example, in Kenya, when every year we are doing the budget, how do we allocate the funds? Or even for an institution, or say a school, when they're thinking of future developments, how are they making those decisions? So initially, before, people just used to make decisions. So say, for example, when you're looking at government in Kenya, say people would build roads when it's election time. So without necessarily thinking where are roads needed, or where are X services needed. So that's where that data comes in. Data comes in to inform decisions that we are supposed to make. So that, say, yes, we want to develop roads, but where are they going to be? Yes, we want to build hospitals, but where are they most needed? So that is why data is important. And when I'm talking about data, it's because just before we go to OpenStreetMap, maps usually have location data. So I feel like it's very important to understand at the basic level that maps are made using data, and specifically location data. Yeah. So, and then why are maps important? I don't know. I think most from the group of trainees that we have, a lot of us have a background in GIS or are students, but we also have people who are not, who do not have that background. So you might be wondering why maps are important. I think most of us get to use maps every day or several times a day, but maps are very important because they show us where things are. So say, for example, I get an emergency when I'm at home, and I need to go to the hospital. What I'll need to find out, if I do not already know, say I'm new to an area, or you're just trying to weigh all your options, you want to know what's the closest hospital. So, for example, if I'm in Juja, if I have an emergency, should I go all the way to Kenyatta National Hospital in Upper Hill, or should I go to, say, the Kenyatta University Referral Hospital? So that's where maps come in. They show you where things are, and even more importantly, they show you the closest things to you, or the farthest things to you, depending on what you're looking for. I think even with maps nowadays, say, even for example, it's a Saturday, you would want to go out with your friends to a restaurant or something. You can look at, say, Google Maps, look at restaurants, look at reviews. You're able to sort where they're located, how far they are, and then now using local information that you have, like in terms of how to get there and such things. That's where maps come in. So maps are very important in very crucial and urgent situations, like say when you're looking for a hospital, and they're also just, we use it for on our day-to-day purposes, just wanting to know where things are and such. Then the other thing is that they also show the state of things. So yes, you're looking for a hospital. I think we've seen so many cases in Kenya. Say you have an emergency, and you just walking. You get, maybe you get an ambulance or you get a cab. You walk into the hospital and you find out they do not have ER services. Even if you're looking at this whole COVID-19 situation, imagine, say, being infected and being in quarantine at home, and then things get worse, and walking to a hospital that does not have an ICU. So the good thing with maps is, or what people usually say, the strength of maps and GIS is that ability to combine a lot of information into one. Because at the beginning, you started with a random X and Y coordinates. Then you said it's a hospital. The next thing you can do is you can add the name. You can add the type of hospital in terms of maybe the size. Is it a private hospital, or in terms of how it's functioning? Is it a private hospital? Is it a public hospital? So that you can know. If I say, if I'll be able to use an HIF, or if I'll be able to use any other types of insurance. And then we can also add now more information, like, does it offer ER services? Does it offer maternal health services? Can I get a gynecologist? Can I get a dentist? Such things. So that's usually that's usually referred to as the power of maps. Just that ability to sort of add information and integrate more and more and more information into a single point. And basically that information is information that defines an X and Y. So and you can also integrate more data. So say, for example, yes, we're looking at hospitals, but how am I getting to the hospital? I'll need to use a vehicle or anything. If it's a cab, if it's an ambulance. So say if it's an emergency, I'd want to get to the hospital as fast as possible. So yes, I've found a hospital that offers ER services, but how fast can I get there? So you can look at also things like traffic maps, and see the fastest route to the hospital. Even just for other things, maybe it's a Monday or it's a weekday, you're going for a job interview, you'd want to get to an office as early as possible. I guess it also just makes sense to choose the fastest route, and see the state of things even as the day progresses. If it's the morning, is traffic heavy on this road and such things. So that's why maps are important. And even just lastly, even before we proceed, I think when COVID-19 hit worldwide, we saw a lot of dashboards that had online maps that were showing the number of cases in an area, how bad the situation is. We even had other maps that were showing hospitals. I saw a map in Kenya that was showing hospitals and the number of ICU beds and such things. So that's how maps are important. Like in a general view, you could go deeper and deeper to explain, but that's just an example. So before we continue, I wanted us to just have a short interactive session. I think it should take us maybe 10 minutes. Yeah, so I don't know if you're using a laptop or your phone, just go to this link, kahoot.it, or kahoot.it. It's just a sort of a questionnaire to just make things interactive as we continue. So I'll also type it on chat. It's Kahoot. Yeah, just click on that link and then we should be able to go. As you, I think it will ask for your name. So you can just type your name and join. Oh, it will ask for game pin first. So just wait for the pin. Yeah. So yeah, you you can type this pin 9793915. I'll also copy it and add it on chat. Okay. Yeah, I can see 3 people have joined, waiting for more people. It's going to be very simple. Yeah. In case you've never played on Kahoot, it will basically show a question and the choices on my screen, and then once you look at the choices, you can you on your phone, or if you're using a laptop, um, you click on the option that's right. It's usually timed, so but the first ones are a bit longer than the last ones are like 5 seconds. So yeah, there's also a timer on my screen that you will be able to see. I think can give it one more minute for say 2 3 people to join, and then you can go ahead. Okay. Okay, I think you can just go ahead and start. Yeah, so which of the following does not define a map? Choice A is shows where things are, shows where people are, shows the closest services to me, or if all the three are correct. So on your if you're using your phone, just choose the choice that makes sense. Okay, so I can see 3 people said all this define a map, and then the rest chose the remaining ones. So yeah, everyone is right. Yeah, but the correct answer was all this define a map. As we had shared before, they show where things are. So they show us where hospitals are, where shops are, um, basically anything. They show us where things are. And yes, they also maps can also show us where people are. For example, when you're looking at the national map of Kenya and it has the county boundaries, we are able to add data on population per county. So that way they can show us where people are. We can be able to say there are 2 million people in Nairobi, there are 40 something million people in this other county. So yes, maps can also show us where people are. Even when you're looking at traffic maps, even when you go to Google Maps and yeah, and it shows where there's more traffic. That also just shows in a way where people are. Yeah, because where there's traffic, there's more people in terms of vehicles and such. And then, yeah, the last thing was they also show us the closest services to us. So, say for example, if I'm looking for an open supermarket at this hour, I'm able to look for that using online maps. Yeah, so everyone was right. Yeah, but the correct answer was all the three define what a map is or what a map can do. Yeah, so we're going to the next one. Yeah, so there's also a scoreboard. Okay, so which of the following is not a type of a map? A general reference map, a thematic map, a cadastral map, or a dashboard? So which of the following is not a type of a map? Okay, so yeah, I can see a lot of us chose dashboard. Again, yeah, dashboard is the correct answer. It's not a type of a map. So yes, a general reference map is a type of a map, and this is really just a map that shows everything. You can think of it as a topographical map, but not necessarily. But okay, think of it as something like Google Maps or even OpenStreetMap. It's a map that has everything. It has boundaries. It has all points of interest. So it has schools, hospitals, shops, everything. And then a cadastral map for those who are not maybe in the GIS space, it's usually a map that shows property boundaries um, and such things. And then a thematic map usually, as you can see, it's from the word theme. It addresses a specific theme. So yeah, and then a dashboard is I'd say it's a product of a map. So a dashboard can include a map or not. Yeah, the dashboards that do not have maps. Yeah, but a dashboard can include maps, and I think most of them usually do. A good example would be the COVID-19 dashboards, the global ones, and the national ones that we've seen. Yeah, so a dashboard is not a type of a map, but it can be a product of a map, or it can be a service that uses a map. Yeah, so the next one, um, so this one is true or false. Maps can be paper maps. Oops, no one answered. Yeah, this last one's, okay, 3 people answered. These last ones are 5 seconds long. Yeah, so yeah, true, maps can be paper maps. A good example is if you go to parks, you can usually get a paper map that guides you. But also, any map can be printed to be a paper map for a specific use or even just a general use. So yes, maps can be paper maps. The next one, this one's a 5 seconds long, guys. Okay, maps can be online as web maps. Yes, yeah, that is true as well. Yes, so Google Maps is a good example. It's a web map. Even OpenStreetMap is a web map. So yes, maps can be online and you can access them as web maps. You can access them on your browser. For example, if you type openstreetmap.org, you should see a map. If you go to googlemaps.co.k, you should see a map, or googlemaps.com, you should see. No, it's usually maps.google.com. You should see a map. So yes, maps can be online as web maps. So I think this is the last one. Which of the following is not a type of an online map? Okay. Okay, yeah. So the question was which of the following is not a type of an online map? So yes, again, the highest score, which is the last one, all of these are online maps. So yeah, even from the I'd given out leakage. Yes, Google. You can access Google Maps online. You can access OpenStreetMap online. There's also another service called Here Maps that is also an online map. So yeah, so the last choice is actually correct. All of these are actually online maps. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, those are the top three for today's quiz. Let's see if we can get a gift for the top three or top five. Yeah. Yeah, so that was just an interactive game to keep us going. Yeah, so I'll go back to the presentation. Yeah, so now that at least we've interacted with what maps are and types and formats, and also we've mentioned OpenStreetMap severally in this session. So I think it's safe to say that all of us are familiar with Google Maps, and I think even all of us have Google Maps installed in their phone, and it's as an app, and it's what you usually use. But when you're trying to define OpenStreetMap, what it is, it's basically the first free and open map of the world. And this just means that anyone can access it, which I guess is also true for Google Maps, yes, because all of us can access it for free, we can view it. But where the big difference comes in is that, okay, not yet, we're not yet there. Anyone can contribute. Anyone can contribute to this as well, to OpenStreetMap, and I guess anyone can also contribute to Google Maps. Yes, anyone can add a point, you can write a review, you can do that. But where the main difference comes in between the two, and also all these other online maps, as I'd say that OpenStreetMap is the first free and open one. It means that in as much as I can use, I can edit, I can also download all this data for free. And even if, say for example, if I'm not thinking about downloading this data, say maybe I'm not GIS analyst, or I'm not a photographer, I've not, say for example, if I'm a programmer or a web developer, what this means for you is that, or even a mobile app developer, what this means for you is that you can also use OpenStreetMap for free on your application, on your website. That's where the major difference comes in. The fact that you can access it for free, you can access the data for free. Yeah, so it's the first free and open source map of the world. In fact, a lot of people refer to it as a database as opposed to a map, just because of that last functionality, that last difference, the fact that you can access it, the fact that you can download, you can delete, and you can do anything. Because for Google Maps, that's not true. You can't download. So you can add as many points as you can. You can, I know they have a local guide sort of model. You can become a local guide of level 10 or the highest level ever, but you can never download the data for free. Even for you to have Google Maps on your website, you have to pay for it for a service. At times you pay per month, depending also on the functionality that you want someone to access. Is it just viewing? Are they able to open the app and like get directions from wherever they are? So yeah, so that's how OpenStreetMap is, and it being this open, what it meant for, I'd say, for the world, is that people could map to places. A good example in Kenya, initially, if you'd have looked at Google Maps and you would search for Kibera, it would only bring up was the boundary, meaning it can be assumed that people do not live in that area, or people do not exist in that area. So for many people, the area being blank meant people are not there. And when you're looking at how maps are used, even by government and other institutions, to make decisions, that meant that when you're thinking about building roads, if you're going to use map data, that means you're just going to leave Kibera out. When you're thinking about, say, building a drainage system, you're going to leave Kibera out. Because even if you work in government, in these physical planning offices, yes, they do use maps, but if an area is not mapped, then that means an assumption can be made, or a decision will be made and maps will not be used. So that is what OpenStreetMap brought in. The fact that anyone in the world world could contribute and people could collaborate on it, it meant that a lot of unmapped places could be mapped. So a good example would be just a place like Kibera, which if you look at OpenStreetMap, I think at the moment it's minimally mapped, but initially it was nothing was there. But if you look at it right now on OpenStreetMap, you'll see it's fully mapped, and you can attribute that to an organization called Map Kibera that fully mapped the area, all the buildings, all the schools, all the services. So yeah, so, and I guess that's also just another importance of maps. It truly shows that people are somewhere and things are somewhere. And when you're looking at things like government, even if it's in the development world, say if World Bank is trying to do something in Nairobi or the UN or something, it's very important for them to know that people are here. Because say, for example, if we were to build libraries in all the schools in Nairobi and we do not know there are schools in Kibera, or even do not know the number of schools, so maybe you could make an assumption that there are 30 schools, which is not the case. So that is what OpenStreetMap came in. So the major difference and what makes it unique is that anyone can download, anyone can access it, anyone can edit, anyone can modify all the objects or all the points that are on OpenStreetMap. And yeah, so how OSM works or OpenStreetMap is that it really relies on local knowledge. So like yes, anyone in the world could edit OpenStreetMap. They can add buildings and roads, but it truly relies on the people of an area. So say for example, if you look at Kibera, or any informal settlement whatsoever on satellite imagery, you would look at buildings and you'd assume that those are like very long buildings, and you could draw them. Yes, there'll be so many in terms of tens of thousands, but it would take someone who's been there to understand that those are plots. So what you're seeing as one building is actually a collection of 10 houses that are together. And then it also relies on communities, because it would take someone who's interested in working in, say, in Kibera, or working on a development issue in that area for them to map that area. And it's impossible for me, this person who's interested, I'll have to work with the community there to better understand how the area is and how things are. So, and yeah, the data on OpenStreetMap is built by many mappers, a community of mappers, local communities, regional communities, global communities. So it's never one person. Yes, maybe say for example, we could have the global community help us to add buildings, add roads, but we would need the local community to add things like names, to add things like schools and hospitals and such things. So there's a very big community of mappers that are doing different things. So the people who mainly help by adding buildings and adding data, the people who help by validating the data. Don't worry if there are a lot of new terms that are popping up, but you'll understand them as we continue. Because yes, it's anyone can edit the map, but it has to be quality data that's being added to the map. So we usually have a team of people who validate and look at it and what's being contributed. Because one might think that since anyone can modify, so then it's possible for someone to just come in and delete everything. Yes, it's possible, but everything is being monitored. Any deletion is monitored. So we have a community of mappers that are looking at that. They're usually advanced mappers who have basically grown from a beginner mapper to an intermediate one to an advanced one. So it's people who understand how these maps work and they're able to monitor such things. Yeah, so yeah, OSM is truly a community project. And even just as you're talking about communities, at times it's institutions, at times, yes, it's organizations like MAP Kibera, at times it's university students clubs. So when you're looking at things like youth mappers, where students just gather to map, at times it's a national community. So when you're thinking of things like OSM Kenya, where at times we have events, mapathons where you just come together and map. At times it's a global community. So say for example, there's a disaster that has happened. So say an earthquake and there's need for data. Then how does the global community come in to help? So yeah, OSM is truly and entirely a community project. It's not an individual effort and such things. So yeah, as I just shared that, yeah, anyone can edit the map. So anyone can add buildings from wherever you are. As we'll continue, you'll see, even for example, for the projects that we'll be doing, all of us are located nationally. The people are in Nairobi, who are around Nairobi, the people are all the way in Western Kenya. Even for the projects that we can create, it's possible for someone in the USA or someone in Europe or even someone in Uganda to contribute. So anyone can contribute to the map. So long as you have an account and you have access to a laptop, anyone can edit the map. And yeah, just emphasizing on it, that's like, I think, the thing that makes it unique and very important. Because at a time when you need a lot of data at once, as you'll see, a lot of projects on SM are usually related to disasters and supporting efforts to manage or mitigate disasters. As you'll see, for such cases, we usually need a lot of mappers to come in and help. And just the fact that anyone can edit at the same time is what makes it very unique to the entire OSM ecosystem, I would say. So yes, in as much as anyone can edit the map, then it also means that anyone can improve the map with local knowledge. So yes, we have mapped all the buildings, we've mapped all the roads. Then it also means that I can add points of interest. Even say if I'm not from an area, say if I'm mapping Uganda and I'm from Kenya, then it's possible for me to visit the community and work with the community to enrich that what has been mapped. So say, for example, just the example that we're using earlier on hospitals, we've mapped a building. When you map a building, you do not know if it's a house or if it's a hospital or if it's a shop. So it's only when I'm at that point that I can add all this information. So basically local knowledge. And also, I'd say just the fact that anyone can edit. And when you say edit, it does not mean just adding a building. It means, so say for example, something like hospitals. I'm able to enrich it with a lot of information as much as possible. So I can add the name, I can add the type. Is it public? Is it private? Or I think there are also hospitals that have a hybrid sort of format, so they're both private and public. Then I can add all the services. Does it offer ER? Does it offer maternal? Does it offer cardiology and all that? And then when I'm looking at the building in its own, is it friendly or accessible to everyone? Is it wheelchair accessible? These are things that you can add to OSM. And even when you have information that you can't see a format to add it in, it's possible to propose something that I think that's called a tag, and that tag can be added so that you can be able to add that information if it's essential. Yeah. So also able to improve it with local knowledge. And then lastly is that you can use it for any purpose. It being free and open, means that you can use it for free for any use whatsoever. So if it's for research, if it's for commercial use, you're able to use it for commercial use for free. And even as we continue, we'll be using other services that are using OpenStreetMap. So a good example would be a web platform called Mapbox that uses OpenStreetMap entirely. If you're in the JS space, I think from what you've seen this year, we've seen even S3 now and ArcGIS Online using OpenStreetMap. Even before that, when you're building, say, a web map or a web application, it was possible to add OpenStreetMap as a base map. Yeah, so more organizations are now coming into use OSM. Okay, when I'm saying organizations, I think I mean the big ones. I think we've seen Facebook coming in. We've seen things like Mapillary, which is a platform for street level imagery. We've even seen Microsoft helping out with using artificial intelligence to help people to map faster. And don't worry, all these things are going to be covered as we continue. And yeah, and just before we move to the last part of this presentation, I just want to share that we'll also have, if you look at the topics that we had listed, we are also going to have like a panel session where we'll have people from different organizations explaining how they're using OSM for different purposes. I think for me right now, I've seen all types of organizations are using OSM, from disaster management. So if you've been following like work that OSM Kenya has been using, you would have noticed that 3 weeks ago we set up a task for Kenya Red Cross to help map areas around River Takwel. Is it no, not River Takwel, the Takwel Dam in northern Kenya, and the levels were rising at a very fast rate. So what happened is that was being monitored, and researchers and scientists and even organizations like the Kenya Red Cross, who obviously monitor different areas around the country and sort of try to mitigate all sorts of disasters. When they saw that, and they raised the alarm that area might be might flood if the water levels continue rising. And since, yes, as I was just sharing with everyone, that you see a lot of areas in rural Kenya, if you look at places like Google Maps, they're not mapped. So that data was not there. So they also wanted to understand, yes, if yes, we have raised an alarm that this area might flood. So if you live here, please go away or move to a safer space for now. But we all know at times people do not listen, and just the way Kenyans are. A good example would be with COVID-19 and people not wearing masks and people not taking care. So, and at times also information might not reach everyone. So maybe, yes, they might do TV adverts, radio adverts, but maybe someone does not have a TV, someone does not have a radio, someone does not have a newspaper. So basically what I'm trying to say is that even with them raising an alarm, some people might still be at risk. Maybe the information on the dam flooding did not reach to them. So they wanted to map the areas at risk so that they can at least understand, yes, if this happens, and maybe it happens when it was not expected, how many people might be affected, if you're going to sort of offer relief, if you're going to offer food, if you're going to take blankets there, maybe the effects are not that bad, then how many do we need to bring? And it is honestly totally impossible to estimate those numbers if you do not have an idea of how the area looks like, of how many buildings are there, of the population in that area. So yeah, we set up a task for them, and they were able to map the entire the entire area that was potentially affected, potentially going to be affected. And we were able to map the entire area in 2 weeks, obviously with the help of the global OSM community. So it was not just Kenyans who are mapping, but the entire, I'd say the entire world. Uh, yeah, and I'd say that's a very good example of OSM. Yeah, and as I was also just sharing that, you'll notice that a lot of uses are related to disaster preparedness or mitigation. So because that's where there's usually a high or urgent need for data. So yeah, but there are also just other uses. We'll go through all this in another session that's entirely focused on the uses of OSM, and then I guess all of us could start thinking on how you can use OSM, or if you have a project and you can start thinking of how you can integrate. So many users in health, so many users in education, so many users in water and sanitation, in physical planning, infrastructure development. Yeah. So we'll have another full session that is focused on the users and the users and applications of OSM. And we'll also have like a panel session where we'll have some organizations in Kenya and in Africa that are using OSM join us to share the same. Yeah, so I guess someone might be thinking then, why set up a task and start mapping when you can just maybe get the data? So maybe I can contact Google in a way and get the data. Honestly, I've never seen Google openly sharing their location data for whatever use. Even with COVID-19, whatever they let open was not building data or roads data. I think what they let open was points of interest that were health related. So it's really hard to get updated information. Maybe in the GS space, and organizations that offer data. So maybe organizations like Ramani, I think. So say for example, Kenya Red Cross are responding to a disaster. And as we might all know, a lot of these humanitarian organizations are underfunded. So would I use money to buy data when I could use that money to try and save people as much as possible? So it's sort of just trying to get that balance, and trying to use also, when you're looking at disaster management and mitigation, trying to use funds where they're most needed. So if I can get this data freely and openly, then that means I could use this amount, say if it's a disaster situation, to respond to that situation. Maybe if we need to buy more things, then that's possible. Then I guess also when you're looking at startups and organizations, if you're basically, if you have minimal finances, I think it's also better to just talk with the community. And anyway, you're contributing to data that you're not only going to use, but also other people that might need that data might use it for. I think even for some of us who are in university, I think we know the hassle of looking for data when you're in final year and you're working on your research project. So imagine, yes, at times we have to go to institutions. So maybe if you're doing something on water and sanitation, then you can go to like a county government and get some sort of data. But imagine if you also needed to go find data for roads and buildings, and like the hassle of trying to contact organizations and getting so many letters with so many terms. I think that would be very tedious. So I feel like OpenStreetMap really solves a lot of issues when it comes to accessing data, especially in this part of the world, where you could name one or two organizations that could give you that data if you had to pay for it. Yeah, and I guess also just basically when you're looking at open data in general, it has basically improved the access of these services of data, which means you spending say if you're doing a research, spending more time on research as opposed to finding the data. So it reduces the work for you in a way. So before we go to the last step, I don't know if there are any questions on chat, or if anyone has a question. I guess you could ask at this point before we go to the last piece, for all of us to create an account if we do not have one yet. Yeah, so just give it maybe 1 minute. If anyone has a question, you could unmute yourself and ask, or you can type it on chat. Yeah. Okay. So I don't think any other question. Okay. So I guess we can just continue. So for this last step, I guess two things. If you have an account, then you don't have to do the next steps. But if you've never worked on OpenStreetMap before, you'll now have to follow these steps. They're not so many. Yeah, it's just like opening an account for any other, similar to opening an account on any other platform. So if it's like basically a social media account. Yeah, so as I guess as I had just shared earlier, that to contribute to OpenStreetMap or to access the data, or to edit the map, what you only need is an internet connection and a laptop. Yeah, or actually just need any device to sign up. You can use your phone to sign up. Yeah, so we're just going to go to the last steps, which basically involve the creation of an account. Yeah, so if you have an account, please type your username on chat. Yeah, and if you do not have one, then let's just follow these steps. So I'll also just switch to my browser so that we can do it together. So I basically just go to openstreetmap.org. Once you type that, you should see a web map that looks like this. So yeah, I'll just give it, say, 1 minute for those of us who are creating an account. Yeah, so just go to openstreetmap.org. Yeah, you should be able to see what is on my screen on your end as well. Yeah, you can. But if you're signing in, you can use your phone if you do not have a laptop right now. Yeah, you can use your phone or your laptop. Any of those is correct to create an account. Yeah, so let me also just type the link on chat if it's easier that way. Yeah, just go to openstreetmap.org. I think also if you just Google OpenStreetMap, yeah, no, if you Google OSM, a football thing usually comes up. I don't know why. Yeah, but yeah, just if you Google OpenStreetMap, it should be the first link as well, or you can go to openstreetmap.org. I've also put the link on chat in case you'd like to click on it directly. So I'd assume all of us are signing up here. They can see a map at the top. They can see the tab written OpenStreetMap. There's edit, history, exports. On the right, you can see there's GPS traces, there's user diaries, copyrights, help. There's an about section. Then there's a login and a sign up. Yeah, so as I shared before, even just before you go to the steps where I need to create an account, OpenStreetMap is a web map, meaning it's a map that's online. You can access it online. Yeah. So, and you can see that there's also a sort of and just a quick intro. And it says OpenStreetMap is a map of the world that is created by people like you, and it's free to use under an open license. Yeah, so as I shared, it's free to use for any purpose whatsoever. Yeah, so if we could just go through some of the things here. Uh, all right, okay, let's just start with what's important to us today. Uh, so if you're creating an account, you click on sign up. If you already have an account, or maybe you think, yeah, you remember the time you had an account, maybe it's been a while since you mapped, you can click on login. So we'll start with the sign up one. I think most of us are new to OSM. So go to sign up. Yeah, this is what you get. It's similar to any other when you're signing up on an app or anything. So what you just do is you enter your email address, and then you confirm it. So you enter the same email address. Then the display name is your username. You can use a username that you mostly use for your other apps. It can be anything really. uh, but for me, I prefer using your name. I think it's easy to remember. Yeah. Uh, but it can be any username that you wish to have. Then you can enter your password, then you confirm it. But you can also sign up with another application. So you can use your Gmail uh, or a Facebook account, or let's see if it has Facebook. Yeah, you can sign up using Google, using Facebook, using GitHub, using Wikipedia. So whichever you would like as well. So say for example, if you choose Google, then you just enter your details, and you actually don't have to enter the passwords for now. Yeah, but yeah, I'd prefer to just create one without using a third party, because anyway you use your email at the end. Yeah, so I don't know if we are there. Maybe give it 2 minutes in case you're creating an account. Yeah, if you already had an account, you can click on login, and what it will ask you for is your username and password. I think if you've used that device before, it should auto load your email address and password. So Oh, sorry everyone. I think I got lost 4 minutes ago. I'm sorry. Yeah, but I think we were at the point of creating accounts. So sorry about that. I hope I was not lost for a very long time. Yeah, but well, I think I was talking to myself when I was just explaining that once you successfully sign up and everything, you should be able to receive an receive an email address, and not an email address, an email. You should be able to receive an email that has a link to activate your account. Um, and if you click on that link, it should be able to automatically log you in to the site. And yeah, if you're and if it has not automatically logged you in, what you just need to do is to click on the login section at the right, and not the sign up. And then if you saved your account, it should automatically fill in the details for you. If that's not the case, not to worry, just type in your email address and your username, and or not and or your username, and then enter your password. And then you can check the remember me option, so that every time you access the site, you don't have to log in every time. So you can just click on login. Yeah, and I was just saying the only difference before logging in and what we have here right now is that on the furthest right, as opposed to now seeing the login and the sign up button, you should now see your username. And then when you click on it, you can see the more options. You can access settings, your profile. You can see messages that have been sent to you, and you can also log out if you wish to. So I was just saying that if people could share their OSM usernames that you've created. If you've forgotten what you wrote, it's the name that appears here. So say for example, mine is my name. I've just used my name so that I do not forget. So yeah. Yeah, if you could just, all of us, if you could type our usernames here, that would be great. Yeah. So yeah, maybe 1 minute for people to type in their usernames. Yeah, it's what you see here. I don't know how it would look like on phone. Let's see, in case someone is using their phone. I don't know how it looks like on I don't know how to do it. Oh, yeah. I think on your phone you would have to click on the 3 lines on your right as well, and then you should be able to see your username somewhere there. Yeah. I don't know. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I see people have shared. Yeah. If everyone could just share their usernames, don't worry. It will not be used for for any purpose whatsoever. Yeah. So yeah. So basically that's how easy it is to create an account on OpenStreetMap. Yeah, it's just like any other web application. So yeah, some things that you can do. You can access your profile. So if you click on your profile, if you are a beginner mapper, I think there's nothing that you would see, except for users who are nearby you. So basically, depending on on where you are, you can see users that are near you. I think all of us can see the same thing, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, you probably see just other Kenyans are contributing to OSM, and when they made their last edit, for example, you can see someone is 24 meters away, they have no edits. The pool are a bit far away, but the last time they edited was 3 years ago. And you can also see what they are editing, what they are adding, and such things. And then at the top here, you can see the number of edits that you've made. You can see how long you've been a mapper. For example, like me, it's from May 26, 2016. I don't know why it's May 26th. This is my birthday. I don't know why I created an OpenStreetMap account on my birthday. I have no idea. I'll try to go and see what was happening during that year. Yeah, but yeah, you can see for how long you've been a mapper. Then the number of edits you've made. If you've mapped before, you can see that those. I think for a beginner mapper, you can see it's 0. Then you can usually create maps. You can add traces, and then there's a thing called diary, my diary, which is also the thing that you can see are called user diaries. So OSM has something like a blog that you can write things about. So anything, honestly, it's anything that yeah, it's basically a blog that you can write anything about. If it's your mapping experience, at times when people go for OSM related conferences, they write about such things. And then also if you've commented on other things that people have mapped, then it will also appear there. You can click on my diary. It really has nothing per se. But there's this other blog called Weekly OSM, where it's released every week, as the name suggests, where they are basically share news about OSM across the world. So there's this time we're trying this thing to trying to have trying to translate the entire the weekly OSM issue into Swahili, specifically for our Tanzanian friends. But yeah, this is a project that didn't work. And since we had translated a number of articles, they were not posted in the main site for weekly OSM, so we decided to post them in my OSM diary. But I think I have an entry that is not related to this. I don't know. Yeah, for example, yeah, there's a time we went for a mapping party at Upande in 2017. Yeah, where I don't know if you're not in the JS, Upande Limited is a JS company. So we went there and we mapped in Masai Mara and added buildings and roads. So I just wrote, yes, I went to this thing. You can see it was basically one short paragraph, and we did this and added a link to what that was about. Yeah, that time I was in JKUAT, so you can see my location shows Juja Kiambu. Yeah, then there's a time in uni we had a mapathon on International Day of the Girl. Yeah, then I wrote a blog about it, so I also added yeah, a link to it. Then you can see even yeah, people are able to comment if they get to it. I guess if you share the link around, yeah, people can also add comments. So yeah, so it's basically a blog. Yeah, you can create, if you've never written anything, I think from your end it should show an option to create a new diary entry. Yeah, so in case you would like to write some things and you don't, if you ever want a blog on OSM, you can, instead of going through the hassle of creating your own blog, maybe coding your own site or getting someone to do it. Although nowadays there are, I think it's more easy to build a blog. Yeah, you can use this if anyone is interested. Yeah, then maybe the last thing that all of us could go to is my settings. Yeah, so if you click on your settings, then you should be able to see what you entered: your name, your email address, your password. Then you can add a profile description. You can see even at a mini sina. I don't know why. Yeah, but yeah, you can add like a short bio about who you are if you want to. Yeah, and then you can add a picture or any profile picture. It can be any picture whatsoever. Oh yeah, then you can set your home location. At the time I used to live in Kasarani. That's why it shows there. Yeah, but you can update it to where you are. Yeah, or you can set it. So yeah, your profile is just your profile. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, if you do want to set it up to be a complete profile, you can do it. Yeah, but if you don't want to, it's okay. It's not a must. Yeah, so basically that's creating an account on OSM. It is that easy. You're able to customize it to whatever uh, you want it to look like. Yeah, you can have a blog if you want to, or if you ever want to write about anything. Um, I think if you click on user diaries, I don't know. Yeah, you should be able to see the latest entries by people, and you can see they're in different languages. So I don't think it's usually you. I don't think you could recommend someone to do this just because you'll see everything and you're not able to sort it out, sort it at the top. Yeah, but you can see more things maybe on new local chapters in the SM. In SM, I see this was posted 2 days ago. Yeah, so in case you just want to read more about SM, you could click on user diaries at the top. Um, if you want to understand more about the license that shared it's OSM is free and open, so it uses the license called the Open Data Commons Open Database license. In case you're interested in learning more, maybe if you're interested in things to do with licensing and copyright and such things, you could always read more about it. Yeah, I guess yeah. When we get to the point where we at the end, because at the end we'll be sure to build create some web maps and we learn about crediting OSM, and it's just crediting it's a general crediting system where you just credit OSM contributors. Yeah, so in case you learn more about copyright and the license and what you can do and what you can do, you can click on copyright. If you're just getting started, say for example, maybe this training program does not exist. Maybe if I was just hosting this introductory session and that's it, nothing else, then it's also possible you can click on the help and you could get more information. You can get a beginner's guide. Um, you can get more information on how to get started. You can post a question in the help forum. OSM mainly uses mailing lists, so you can get you can sign up to get notifications on your email depending on a mailing list that you're interested in. There are also forums. Um, yeah. So yeah, on the help section you can get a lot more. Then the about section will just have general information about yourself. And I think these are things that I'd mentioned in the presentation that it emphasizes local knowledge. It's driven by the community. Everything is all open. It's free. No restrictions whatsoever. Then the license and the partners. Um, Basically, it's just hosting partners because it's a web map. So uh, basically creating the hosting service for the web map. So yeah, for today, basically that is what we were going to cover. Yeah, you know, we are really taking baby steps. I know if you've mapped before, maybe this was a bit too general for you. But yes, for today, it was just an introduction, a gentle introduction, maybe for people who are not working with maps, on what maps are, why maps are important, and then what OpenStreetMap is, and then creating an account. Yeah, so before we end this in 5 minutes, because of time. Yeah, if anyone has a question, yeah, you can type it on the chat, or you can unmute yourself and just go ahead. That is also totally okay. Yeah, so yeah, but before I guess just to mention as well, yeah, so for the next session now, it's going to be hands-on, so we'll be led by a colleague. He's called Zach, and he'll be leading us on how to start contributing to OSM, what we'll be using, and basically how to do it, which I can also guarantee you it's very simple, and it's very simple to contribute, and anyone should be able to contribute here. So I don't know if there are any questions for now. Yeah, but yeah, feel free to ask any question, even if it's not here, if it's in the group, the WhatsApp group, yeah, feel free to ask any question. In case you're thinking of how to use OSM, yeah, in as much as I shared, we'll have another session that is focused on the users and applications, which I think also a lot of people are very interested in, just learning to see how they can integrate OSM, maybe into your organization or into your project, yeah, or basically just learning about it, so that in future you can see how you can use it. Yeah, we'll have another session that's focused on the users and applications. Oh yeah, there's a question. Are there any softwares that you need to install? We are going to use OSM only tomorrow. So for now, for this week's session, we'll not need to install anything. Okay, we might need to install one thing. But yeah, but the main tool that we'll be using is web-based on OSM. So for now, we won't need to install anything. I'll just confirm with Zach if for the session on Thursday we'll be using a desktop application. Then we'll share in the group if we need to install it. Yeah, but for now, I think for the first session on Thursday we will not need to install anything. But also just generally, a lot of tools on OSM are web-based. So yes, we really do not need to install anything. And I guess that's also an advantage in a way. So that means that you should be able to edit using any laptop. It's not like, say, other GIS software where you need at least an i5 where I know which amount of storage. Yeah. So yeah, most of the tools are web-based. So yeah, for now we don't need to install anything. Yeah, but in the future sessions when we'll be building things like web maps and maps, then at that point you might need to install one or two things. Yeah, but for now no. Yeah, you don't have to download anything. Okay, so any other question or comment? Okay. Yeah, if there are no other questions, that will be it for today. I hope it was informative. Yes, so on Thursday we'll have the hands-on session. And yes, there's an email that's coming. It's been coming since last week. Yeah, there's an email that's coming with the agreements. Okay. Cassandra says, thank you for the simple breakdown. Yeah, sure. I really hope for the beginners we're able to understand in a way, in case you're not familiar with maps. Yes, so I think that will be it for today. It's 9:10. So I wish everyone a good night. See you on Thursday. Yeah, but yeah, feel free to post to ask any questions or comments on the WhatsApp group if you have any. That will be it. Goodbye.